Hello and welcome to the latest instalment in my Bass Lick of the Week series. Before we dive into this week's bass groove, please like the video, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, so this week's lick is a slap and pop groove, and it's played over a G7 kind of a sound, and we're playing against a swung 16th note feel, and that's going to become apparent as we work through the exercise. So let's take a look at the opening bar of this line. It's going to sound like this. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be doing here is playing an open A string. Now this open A actually falls as part of the counting. It's played in the final 16th note subdivision of beat 4 of the counting. So when we hammer onto that B that follows it, the B is the first note of the first bar. So we get this 1, 2, 3, 4. So the B is the first note of the first bar, as I said. We're going to follow that B with a popped octave, and then we're going to play an ascending chromatic figure, C, C sharp, and D. And that's going to bring us nicely down onto the G, which we're going to play twice. And you can probably already hear that 16th note swing that's happening within the line. Okay, now one thing to note here is if you look at the notation, you'll see that the C, C sharp and D notes, as well as the first G, have been written with staccato dots in the notation, and that means we need to keep all of those notes really short. So I'm not letting any of those notes ring for their full duration. Just keeps it really nice and short and funky. Now the way that I'm doing that is I'm using my fretting hand to control the length of the note. So if I just slap a C and leave the finger holding it down, it's obviously going to ring. But if I lift the finger slightly as soon as I've played it, I can choke it off and make it into a short note. And that's essentially what's happening in this line. So as soon as those notes have been heard, my fingers are lifting slightly to keep them really nice and short. It's a fairly important technique, but it's one that people don't really talk about that often. But controlling note length when you're playing slap bass, or indeed any style of music, is a really important part of learning how to play bass. Muting strings and controlling note length is a huge part of it, as I say. Okay, that's our first bar. Moving into the second, I'll play the first bar, moving into the second bar, and then we'll break it down. Okay, so you can probably hear that in the second bar we're kind of repeating that idea of playing an open string hammer-on and then following it with a popped note. We're doing that on an F in this case, so open E string, hammering onto the F, pop the octave, come back onto that lower note. And a couple of things to point out here. When we're playing the when we're playing that second hammer-on from the open E as a ghost note that's played before, it feels really, really natural to put that in. So just put a ghost note before that second open E string, and then we're going to play another ghost note as we move back into that line. And again, it feels really natural to do this. So let's cycle those first couple of bars round a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that gives us the first half of the exercise. As we move into the third bar, we're heading back into that riff that we had in bar 1. Go as far as those 2 low Gs, and then we're going to do this. So we've got a fill that we're going to be playing in the fourth bar, but the third bar is going to lead into that. So we're going to have the 2 Gs, then we have a 16th note rest, and then we've got a ghost note, which we can play probably on the D string. Is going to be the easiest string to play this on. And then we're going to slide into the G at the 16th, 12th fret of the G string, and that's going to be happening right towards the end of the bar there. Like that. Now, as we move into the final bar of the line, we're going to move to an F, 10th fret of the G string, and we're going to apply a shake to that note. And a shake is really just when you fret the note and play it, and then move the finger that's fretting it back and forth between that note and a fret higher, like that. And the effect is similar to a trill, but it's a bit less precise. So slightly sort of greasier is the way I always think of it. And it works really, really nicely in funk lines. That's the kind of thing we're aiming for. So after we've played our shake, quick ghost note on the D string with the thumb, and then we're going to play this lick, which is going to be based on a G blues scale. Okay, so this is going to be hammer on between the C and the D, 10th and 12th frets on the D string, and we're going to pop the F again, and then we're going to play quick grace note slide from the D flat back down into the C. The D flat is the blue note in the G blues scale. That note there. So slide from the D flat down into the C, down to the B flat, and then down onto the G. Then going to go a little bit further. I'm going to go to the F at the 8th fret. And we're going to slide downwards from that F. That's our lick. And then we're going to head back into the groove for the repeat. Okay, so bars 3 and 4. Okay, that brings us to the end of this week's bass lick. Thanks for checking out the latest instalment in my Bass Lick of the Week series. If you'd like to download the PDF worksheet and audio files for this exercise, just click on the link in the description below. And if you enjoyed this lesson, please head over to basslinepublishing.com to check out my full range of video courses. Okay, I'll see you next week for another bass groove.